Hello everyone. Welcome back to Health and Life. Today, we'll be exploring a troubling truth about a food many still believe to be healthy and natural, honey. But is all the honey on the market truly pure? In the past, I also believed that simply choosing products labeled organic, pure, or natural would guarantee quality. But after delving deeper, I uncovered a shocking reality. A significant portion of the honey on the market no longer retains its original value. Many types have been adulterated, processed, or even completely stripped of their beneficial nutrients. So, how can we distinguish between real honey and a mere mixture of sugary syrup? In today's video, we'll analyze labels, expose the tricks of the honey industry, and most importantly, help you make smarter choices to protect the health of yourself and your family. Let's explore. Honey has long been considered a golden food for health. But did you know that not every jar of honey on the supermarket shelf is actually real honey? According to research, as much as 70% of the honey on the market is, in fact, adulterated or counterfeit. This means many of us are paying for a product with almost no nutritional value, which is just a mixture of chemical sugar syrups. One of the biggest problems is mixing honey with cheap syrups like corn syrup, cane sugar syrup, or even rice syrup. This completely eliminates the natural enzymes, minerals, and beneficial compounds found in real honey. More worryingly, many of these syrups have a very high glycemic index, increasing the risk of diabetes and obesity if consumed long-term. In addition to being adulterated, a large portion of commercial honey on the market is created by mixing honey from many different countries. Companies import honey from many sources, without quality control, then bottle and label it in a way that consumers don't know where the honey they buy actually comes from. You may see on the label, a blend of honeys from EU and non-EU countries. This means the honey could come from anywhere, from high-quality farms to places with poor production standards. When honey is mixed like this, consumers completely lose the ability to trace the origin and cannot know if the product they are using is safe. One of the most serious problems in the honey industry is the involvement of China, the world's largest exporter of honey but also the place that produces the most low-quality honey. High lead content. One of the alarming findings is that honey from China can contain high levels of lead. The reason comes from transporting honey in containers made of lead, causing this heavy metal to seep into the product. Lead is extremely toxic to the body, which can cause damage to the nervous system, affect brain development in children and increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. Circumventing the law by exporting through third countries. Realizing that many countries ban the import of Chinese honey. Companies here have found a way to circumvent the law. They export honey through an intermediary country before bringing it to the final market. So consumers cannot know the true origin of the product. Removing pollen to hide the origin. Another way that low-quality honey manufacturers use to hide the origin is to filter pollen from honey. Pollen is the natural fingerprint of honey, which helps identify exactly where it comes from. When honey is completely removed from pollen, there is no way to determine its origin, making it easy for companies to sell adulterated honey without being detected. Clearly, the honey industry is not as simple as we think. The bottles of honey on the supermarket shelf may look attractive, but if you don't learn carefully, you may be buying a product that is not only lack of nutritional value but also potential health risks. In the next section, we'll learn how to read honey labels and recognize real and fake honey, helping you become a smart consumer and protect the health of yourself and your family. Don't miss it. The label on a jar of honey may look very complete, with information such as product name, origin, expiry date, but do these things really help you buy pure, high-quality honey? The truth is that even in tightly regulated markets like the UK, labeling regulations still have many loopholes, allowing companies to offer low-quality products while remaining legal. Let's analyze whether current regulations on honey labeling actually protect consumers, and why you can't completely trust what's written on the packaging. According to regulations in the UK, the label must clearly state the word honey. Sounds simple and reasonable, but this doesn't guarantee that the product inside is actually pure honey. In fact, even if a product can be labeled honey, it can still be mixed with sugar syrup without declaration, as long as the honey content is sufficient to meet the minimum standard. Be heat treated at high temperatures, which destroys natural enzymes and antioxidants. but still called honey, no longer contain pollen, making traceability impossible. In other words, just looking at the word honey on the label doesn't mean you're holding a quality product. Another important regulation is that the label must state the name and address of the manufacturer or packer. The purpose of this regulation is to ensure transparency, helping consumers know where the product comes from. However, this is a major weakness in the management system. A company can import honey from many countries, mix it and bottle it in the UK, but the label only needs to state the address of the packaging factory in the UK, creating the feeling that this is a high-quality domestic product. Some companies use the address of a representative office, while the actual honey is purchased from unclear sources. Some brands even outsource to third parties, making it impossible for consumers to know who is really responsible for product quality. Without clear verification, the manufacturer information on the label is only formal and doesn't provide much practical value. One of the most important factors that consumers care about is where the honey comes from. According to regulations in the UK, labels must state the origin. For example, product of England, right pointing arrow means honey is harvested in England. Blend of honeys from EU countries, right pointing arrow honey can come from any country in the European Union. Blend of honeys from EU and non-EU countries, right pointing arrow. This is a roundabout way to hide that the product may contain honey from anywhere in the world, including places with low quality standards. What's the problem here? Phrases such as blend of honeys don't help consumers know exactly where the honey comes from. A product may contain 90% honey from China but only 10% honey from Europe. The manufacturer can still label EU blend of honeys. Mixing honey from many different countries makes it difficult to trace the origin, as it is impossible to determine exactly which country the honey comes from. Overall, the origin information on the current label is not clear enough to protect consumers, and many companies have exploited this loophole to bring low-quality products to the market. Another regulation is that honey must have a best before date. Honey actually has no expiration date because it can be stored for decades without spoiling. However, the expiry date on the label doesn't reflect the actual quality of the honey. Because heat-treated honey may still have a long expiry date, but it has almost no nutritional value. Honey mixed with sugar syrup may not spoil, but it also has no health benefits. Honey contaminated with heavy metals or chemicals may still have a long expiry date but is harmful to consumers' health. So even if you see that the expiry date is far away, it doesn't guarantee that the product is of good quality. Although the UK has clear regulations on honey labeling, as we have just seen, these regulations still have many loopholes, making it easy for consumers to be deceived. You cannot completely trust the word honey on the label. Origin can be hidden by vague phrases. The manufacturer may not be transparent about the true origin of the product. The expiry date is not a determining factor in the quality of honey. This means that if you want to buy pure, high-quality honey, you can't just rely on the label, but need to learn about the brand, production method, and the true origin of the product. Have you ever held a jar of honey in your hand, read the label carefully and seen the words, natural honey, 100% pure, organic, but when you look closer, you wonder, is this really pure honey? In fact, many products on the market are labeled in a way that deceives consumers, making you think you are buying a quality product, while in fact it may contain adulterated or low-quality honey. Today, we'll analyze the labels of some popular types of honey on the market, from high-end brands to cheap honey in supermarkets, to clearly see the tricks that manufacturers use. Many people believe that just buying honey that is certified organic will guarantee quality. But the truth is not that simple. Imagine, you are holding a jar of honey labeled 100% natural honey, organic certified. Sounds credible, but when you look closer at the origin, you see the line, blend of honeys from countries outside the EU. What does this mean? The product may contain honey from many different countries, which may include places with low quality standards. Even if certified organic, it doesn't guarantee that all ingredients in the product come from an unpolluted environment or are not adulterated. Many companies use cheap honey from China, India or other countries, then mix it with higher quality honey to create a product that meets minimum standards. So what's the lesson? Not all organic certifications mean that the product is truly pure and of high quality. You need to carefully consider the true origin of the product, rather than just believe in the organic logo on the packaging. Manuka honey is one of the most expensive types of honey in the world. Famous for its powerful antibacterial properties and high nutritional value. But did you know that not all Manuka honey on the market is reliable? Here's what you need to know about real Manuka honey. Can only come from New Zealand or Australia. If a jar of Manuka honey originates from any other country, it is definitely not real Manuka. Manuka honey has a UMF, unique Manuka factor, rating system, which helps determine the antibacterial level of the product. If a product says Manuka, but doesn't have a UMF index or only uses vague terms like Manuka blend, it's likely that it has been mixed with other types of honey. Some brands package products in other countries, but still ensure the honey is harvested from New Zealand or Australia. This is fine if the manufacturer is honest about the origin. But if the label doesn't clearly state the origin, consumers need to be careful. So, if you want to buy quality Manuka honey, check the origin and UMF index instead of just looking at the word Manuka on the label. Have you ever seen a jar of honey in the supermarket with a surprisingly cheap price and wondered, why is its price so much lower than high-quality honey? The reason is simple. Most cheap honey on the market is not actually pure honey. It contains a blend of honey from many countries. Take a look at the label. You may see the phrase, blend of honey from EU and non-EU countries. This means the product may contain honey imported from China, India or other countries with low control standards, then mixed with honey from the EU to legalize the product. May be diluted with sugar syrup. Some types of cheap honey are mixed with corn syrup or glucose syrup. But it's not mandatory to state clearly on the label if the real honey content still reaches the minimum level according to regulations. This causes consumers to buy low-quality products without knowing it. Low nutritional content. Cheap honey is often heat-treated at high temperatures to extend shelf life and prevent crystallization. However, high temperatures destroy natural enzymes and antioxidants, losing many of the health benefits of honey. Therefore, when buying honey in the supermarket, don't just look at the price. A cheap product may not provide real nutritional value, and may even contain additives that are not good for your health. Overall, honey labels are not always transparent, and many manufacturers use vague labeling to deceive consumers. So how do you buy pure honey? Here are some important tips. Check the origin of the product. If the honey doesn't clearly state the origin, it's likely that it comes from many unclear sources. Be careful with the phrase, blend of honey. This is a sign that the product may contain honey from countries with low standards. Don't completely trust the organic certification. Organic doesn't mean pure or unadulterated. Choose honey with clear information about nutritional value and processing methods. Avoid products that have been heat-treated at high temperatures. If the price is too cheap. Be careful, a high-quality product cannot be too cheap. In the next section, we'll learn how to test real and fake honey at home, helping you feel more confident when choosing products. Don't miss it. Honey is one of the natural foods with high nutritional value. But finding a jar of truly pure honey amidst a series of adulterated and counterfeit products on the market is not easy. So how do you buy quality honey? In this section, I'll share important principles to help you avoid buying fake honey. Choose a pure product and ensure health value. There is a fact that many people don't notice. Locally produced honey is often of much higher quality than industrially imported honey. Why? Not mixed. Local honey is often produced by small farms, not mixed with honey from many different sources like large commercial products. Retain natural nutrients, because it doesn't need long-distance transportation. Local honey is less heat-treated or overly filtered, retaining beneficial enzymes, vitamins, and minerals. Support the immune system. Some studies show that honey harvested in the area you live in can help the body adapt to the environment, especially for people with pollen allergies. So how do you find local honey? Find small bee farms or beekeeping cooperatives in your area. If possible, talk directly to the beekeeper to understand their production process and quality commitments. Have you ever seen a jar of honey on the supermarket shelf with the line, product from many countries, without clearly stating the origin? This is a warning sign. A quality product usually has full and transparent information, including checkmark name of the beekeeper or manufacturing company. This helps you look up more about the brand or bee farm. Checkmark harvest area. A reputable jar of honey will clearly state where the honey was harvested, for example, honey from the lavender forests of Provence, France. Checkmark production method. If the label mentions that the honey is harvested naturally, not heat-treated or overly filtered, that's usually a good sign. Conversely, if the product only says generally such as, blend of honey from EU and non-EU, you need to be careful because it may contain low-quality industrial honey. You may have seen super cheap bottles of honey in the supermarket and thought you found a bargain. But the truth is that too cheap prices usually mean low quality. Checkmark cheap honey may be mixed with sugar syrup to reduce production costs. Some companies mix honey with high fructose corn syrup or glucose syrup, losing the health benefits of pure honey. Checkmark excessive heat treatment to increase shelf life and prevent honey from crystallizing. Many products are heated at high temperatures, destroying natural enzymes and antioxidants. Checkmark no medicinal value. Pure honey has antibacterial properties, supports digestion and soothes sore throats. But if diluted or industrially processed, these benefits are almost gone. So, if you see a honey product that is too cheap compared to the general price, ask yourself, is this really real honey? Even if you've bought honey from a reputable source, there are simple ways to check if it's really pure. In the next video, I'll show you some tips for testing real and fake honey at home, helping you feel more confident in choosing products. Some popular methods include water test. Drop a drop of honey into a glass of water. If it dissolves immediately, it is likely diluted with sugar syrup. Crystallization test. Pure honey will crystallize over time, while fake or highly heat-treated honey remains liquid. Smell and taste. Natural honey has a distinctive aroma of the type of flower that bees collect honey from, while industrial honey may have a faint or artificial smell. Buying honey may seem like a simple task, but if you are not careful, you may be consuming a low-quality product, or even fake honey. Light bulb in summary. To choose the best honey, remember, checkmark prioritize local honey, better quality, retains natural nutrients. Checkmark check clear origin. Don't buy products that don't clearly state the origin. Checkmark stay away from unusually cheap honey. Quality always goes hand in hand with value. Checkmark test honey at home. Don't believe the label. Check for yourself. Hopefully, these tips will help you feel more confident when buying honey. If you find this content useful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the Health and Life channel so you don't miss other important health information. See you in the next video. Smile.